Hello Curious! 37 years after the debut of the first Ghostbusters movie, a sequel to the tale has graced the movie screens. The production trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife appeared almost a year ago and filled to the brim with fast-paced action and awe-inspiring ghouls sufficiently to stir the imagination of the audience so that they were eagerly awaited the release date. And it happened! The film is still available in cinemas, and we have prepared a handful of interesting facts about Ghostbusters for those who have watched the original production as children and those who are just discovering it. In today's episode, we'll not only go back to the very beginning of the series, inspired interestingly by true stories about investigating paranormal phenomena, but we also tell you how the newest production relates to the cult classic from years ago. In fact, Afterlife is absolutely filled with references to the original from the 80s. But it can also satisfy all fans of more contemporary productions like Stranger Things. Why? You'll find out in a moment, but before we go any further, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. The 1984 Ghostbusters may not be a very familiar production to today's younger generation, but it's worth knowing that a few decades ago it was a real blockbuster. With an initial budget of $30 million, it earned almost 10 times that amount, and audiences went crazy for Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson, who, in distinctive uniforms and with ghost catchers in their hands, tracked the wraiths throughout the streets of New York. The film was full of perfect, for those times, special effects as well as ghosts and monsters not from this world, but which you will find out more about in a moment. Still, it wasn't made as a horror film at all. It was a hair-raising comedy, combining funny moments with elements of horror films, and its box office success encouraged the creation of subsequent parts. Ghostbusters 2 was somewhat less well reviewed by audiences or critics, but still earned a solid $216 million worldwide. So the enthusiasm to shoot the third installment has not subsided, and especially in Dan Aykroyd, who, in addition to playing one of the main roles, was also the author of the script for the first, second, and the third part of the series. In fact, it was in his head that the idea for the filmed Busters was born, all because of the actor's personal experiences, who reportedly experienced paranormal encounters with ghosts firsthand at the family home in Ontario. Aykroyd's parents regularly held spiritual seances there, and his father also became the author of a book on the subject. Little Dan witnessed the summoning of the souls of the deceased from an early age, and when he became a movie star, he was not reluctant to confess that he totally believes in spirits regularly visiting our dimension. During an interview with the Daily Beast, he stated that constant exposure to supernatural forces contributed to the idea for the film, which we quote, will be a combination of the discipline of parapsychological research and old-style comedy. Then, with the support of Harold Ramis, who had a considerable knowledge of ancient cultural beliefs, and with Ivan Reitman helping with the script and getting behind the camera as a director, Ghostbusters became a reality in 1984. Reitman also directed the second installment, which was released in 1987, but he no longer took on this task for Ghostbusters 3. Bill Murray also refused to star in this production, claiming that the script written by Aykroyd was, quote, crazy and bizarre. Ultimately, the third installment remained only at the script stage, which interestingly was used in the creation of the video game simply titled Ghostbusters. The feature film also inspired a cartoon, The Real Ghostbusters, which from 1986 to 1991 broke such records for popularity that 7 seasons were created, totaling 140 episodes. Ghostbusters was a classic of the 1980s, and sentiment for the series has not waned even after the 2000s. Ivan Reitman, despite not taking on directing the third installment of the series, was still thinking about continuing the adventures of Raymond Stantz and his crew. And he actually contributed to the new film and took on the role of executive producer in the production of Ghostbusters, which debuted in 2016. However, it was not a sequel to the previous parts, but a remake, in which, in the end, the players of the main roles were not the gentlemen known to everyone, but ladies. However, the female team, headed by Melissa McCarthy and Kirsten Wiig, failed to achieve the success of its famous predecessors. Disappointing box office results had also caused a proposed sequel to the project to be rejected. In 2017, however, there were rumours of plans for a Ghostbusters cartoon, which ultimately did not translate into any work for the filmmakers. And while it may have seemed that the subject of the Busters had come to a standstill, in January 2019, a piece of information suddenly appeared that warmed up fans of the series, but also younger cinemagoers. Entertainment Weekly announced that a new Ghostbusters movie will be made, with Jason Reitman, the son of the director of the first 2 installments, leading the project. Furthermore, it has been announced that the shooting will begin in just a few months, with a planned release of July 2020. Eventually, due to the pandemic, these dates were extended, and it wasn't until November of this year that one of the most anticipated sequels hit theatres. The film Ghostbusters Afterlife, despite being a sequel to the original 1980s film, introduces completely new characters to the main roles. According to the creators, the idea was born after the release of 2016's Ghostbusters, which showed that anyone could be a Ghostbuster. So already in the trailer you could see that this time the task of taming ghosts will fall to a team of 4 teenagers. Although the film is a sequel to the hit from years ago, it also evokes associations with the much younger productions, especially the series Stranger Things. The action is set in the 1980s. A group of friends must fight creatures not from this dimension, and the young team is led by a girl named Phoebe, played by Makina Grace, and Trevor, played by Finn Wolfhard, known from Stranger Things. The young actor, before working on the set of Afterlife, had already had the opportunity to wear the costume of the Ghostbusters, and it happened in one of the episodes of the cult Netflix series. Now, the story has come full circle, and in the latest film, Wolfhard actually became one of the Ghostbusters. Associations with hit productions of modern times, however, do not change the fact that the film Ghostbusters Afterlife is a tribute to the saga from a few decades ago, and even in the trailer we could see a lot of Easter eggs that connect the new movie with the 2 previous parts of the Ghostbusters adventures. Cold gadgets once used by the first heroes appear, such as the Ghost Trap Proton Pack and the famous Ectomobile, Ecto-1, marked with a distinctive logo with a crossed out ghost. Back in the roots are also hanging pictures or TV commercials from the 1980s featuring Peter Raymond and Egon, the most famous ghost catchers. Anyway, the cast of Afterlife had also featured actors from previous installments such as Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd and Sigourney Weaver. We cannot forget about ghosts and creatures that the heroes will have to deal with, and also in this topic, the creators of the new film decided to refer to the original. So just like almost 40 years ago, the new generation of Busters will face the cruel Gozer, a being from another dimension whose goal is to destroy the world. The production trailer also reveals the appearance of a 4-legged creature with horns on its head and red glowing eyes, which fans of the series may immediately associate with Zul, the dog-like creature without whom Gozer could not return. There will also be Slimer, a green and slimy ghost who is always looking for something to eat, and perhaps the most famous character known from the Ghostbusters series, namely the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. In a 1984 film, he appeared as Godzilla, terrorizing the inhabitants of New York, and in the newest production, although he is not as big as Godzilla, he is quite numerous, which, as we can see in the fragment of the trailer, still causes a lot of anxiety in Professor Gruberson, played by Paul Rudd. The director of Ghostbusters Afterlife also decided to fill his film with completely original creatures and phenomena that have not appeared in any previous part of the series, and announced that they will be really scary. He also deliberately set the action of the latest Busters in the countryside far away from New York City so as to distinguish the sequel from the other films in the series and give it a somewhat unique atmosphere. For the fans of the Ghostbusters movies, Afterlife will, or was, surely be a sentimental trip to the roots of the series and a chance to look for more or less overt references to the original in every subsequent scene. For those who haven't yet had a chance to see any of the earlier installments of the Ghostbusters adventures, on the other hand, it may be an encouragement to do so, and also an opportunity to see the latest production in the style of the cult classic Stranger Things. The film is already receiving positive feedback from viewers, and if you have too already seen it, be sure to share your impressions. Let us know in the comments below. Have you ever seen the original Ghostbusters? Did you like them more than the newest installment in the series? And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share and subscribe to our channel so that you're always up to date with the hottest celebrity news. Until next time.